podcast.
Yes, we're not like we did this a third time now.
This is the first time that we've had this introduction, not several.
Yep.
If you don't know who we are, I'm Catherine, aka Catherine the Great on TikTok, and this...
I'm Grace, and I go by That Spooky Teacher.
I did know that, I just wanted you to say it.
Yes, that's true.
We've been friends for a while now, and if you want an introduction, you can listen to our previous video. We introduced ourselves pretty thoroughly. Although we didn't talk about favorite colors, so maybe we'll talk about that another time. We'd love to know in the comment section what your favorite color is. We'd like to hear from you all the time. But today, Grace, you have not only planned what we're going to talk about, but you've brought a special guest co-host.
Yes, I do. And so I want to introduce everybody to Frances. Frances the World. So Frances is one of my many spooky dolls. If you guys follow me, you know I have a collection of dolls. I love creepy, spooky dolls. But I thought for this podcast, what we can do is that, you know, you guys can email us or write to us a question, and we can ask Frances the question, and we can do a spirit box session with the questions being asked.
It seems like I'm having technical issues with the camera, inexplicably. No reason behind it. It was working fine.
Okay.
It is now recording. However, we paused because I felt like it wasn't. I have a remote viewer, so you'll see me from time to time look on my cell phone. I'm not trying to text. I'm doing the thing. And this has happened to me before, if you recall.
Yes.
The last time we hung out with Frances.
Frances.
My TV stopped working.
And
it's fine now. What's that?
And you got something thrown at you, wasn't it? Or you're in the shower and something went across?
Right. Okay. So the last time I hung out with Frances, I was in the shower and I thought my partner, Carlos, I thought that he had come in to peek on me, like like couples do. And when I pulled back the curtain to scare him, there was no one there, but I saw the figure of a man.
Well, and Frances has left his mark with me when he scratched me that one time, so. Well,
it's funny because as soon as I walked in the house, we were cooking dinner and I looked down and see I had this red mark. Yeah. It's still there.
Yeah, Frances, she's a little trickster. That's my little
But do you feel like he's dangerous?
No.
Okay.
I don't feel he's malevolent. I think it's just like a child. Like I said, I'm a teacher, so I have kids that do silly things all the time. So maybe just trying to get her attention.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to point out, because it is a few days till Halloween.
Yes.
Exactly in a week. And if you guys come through in and out, you see it. I'm totally dressed out as a teacher mode. I'm wearing Halloween socks.
Yep.
Halloween pants.
Halloween pants.
Shirt. My little pin. Earrings and my little fancy
bat
dress.
wings.
Bat wings.
If I had bat wings, I would wear them, to be honest.
Yeah. I felt like being that spooky ooky teacher today, so.
Well, this is probably one of the few last times that we'll do the podcast with my Halloween background, because come November 12th, this will be Christmas.
Yes.
And I'm real serious about my Christmas.
She is.
But we still got the pumpkins, which is great. And at work, they just told me that we're doing a Halloween contest, and it's the 25th, and they're doing a costume contest. I'm like, why would you do that a week, like less than a week before Halloween? But I already have a costume that I can just throw together. I have the Hellfire Club t-shirt from Stranger Things. I bought it. Jean jacket, jeans, muss my hair up, and stick my tongue out all day. And I'm Eddie. Is it
Eddie
Munson?
Munson. Yeah,
because I always try to say Munster.
Yeah, Eddie Munson. Yeah, good old Eddie Munson.
Yeah, so that's what I will be doing.
So should we get to our topic? I'm really excited about our topic this week.
I am
and should we tell them why we're doing this topic?
Yeah.
Our experience?
Yeah. So Grace and I went to a seance, and we figured we should talk about what seances are, and then maybe talk a little bit about what happened.
So I'm going to say really fast, so we can say my friend James White, if you guys don't know, follow him on Instagram and Facebook, James White Experiences. He does Bingo for a few years now. Yeah. They're incredible seances.
Amazing.
And I was fortunate when Catherine and I won tickets through Horrorama, and we got tickets. Our friend Allie Chapman, who is, you guys probably follow this circle, she's an actress, and she does all this. She's one of the co-founders, and she's one of the coordinators for Horrorama. So she coordinated and we went, and I'm just going to leave that. And I just want to say...
the story is pretty incredible of what happened, and it's something that's never happened to me before.
No.
But let's get to seance. So if you don't know what a seance is, the word seance comes from the French word session.
Mm-hmm.
Séance is literally a sitting session. So you're sitting down. There have been a lot of famous seances. Mary Winchester was big on having seances in her home of the Winchester Mystery Mansion, and she used the seances to tell her how to build it. Another one, Mary Todd Lincoln, very famously was trying to connect with her son, and then, of course, her husband, Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States.
Got into it.
Participated. And there's more. I mean, you have some Canadian references.
I do, and if you guys know me, for my other podcast I had, Scareberia, I'm a teacher, but obviously you guys know that, and so because of my teacher trait, I love to do research, and I get down a rabbit hole and I become obsessed. I become hyperfixated, and that's my ADHD, where I become hyperfixated on that one topic. So of course, when Catherine said, "Hey, let's talk about the seance," I'm like, on it, and I went down the rabbit hole, but I found some cool facts about famous Canadian hauntings or seances here that I didn't know.
Okay.
So you covered about what seance means. So a fun fact. In this book that I'm sure I'm going to reference later, talks about that Prime Minister William Lyon Mackenzie King also was into spiritualism and had seances.
So, yes, and sorry, I totally forgot to talk about the type of tools for seances. But yes, he did, and he did it in the Parliament buildings. And funny enough, he did it in the library, which is the only part of the Parliament buildings that didn't burn down in the big fire of 1907, I think it was.
Cool, I did not know that.
Yeah, it was the only part that didn't. It has huge oak doors with iron, and I'm thinking maybe that's what protected it. So types of seances, religious.
Yes.
Didn't know this. So divine metaphysics, ordained ministers will relay messages from the other side, from the angels or God. They'll offer a healing service, which is also known as faith healing, which has some difficulties to it.
Which we watched on the Haunted program on Netflix. We saw an episode, and that was disturbing.
Yeah. And in Latin America, there's, I'm going to mispronounce this, but Espiritismo, and it's the contact of the ancestors or Catholic saints. And I didn't know that you could use a seance to contact a Catholic saint.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny you say it because the Incas were really big into doing different types, not like we know as seance now, but spirit invocation.
Yeah.
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 And they did rituals I think
Holy Spirit,
activate. And they would do if you think about, the ayahuasca experience too, people have it's like a spiritual kind of release, and so that's a form of, I would guess,
hell of a drug.
I'm not sure if it's like a seance, and I'm not, please don't quote me, don't at me. I am not too sure, but like I said, as you said, because the communing of the dead has been around for a millennia.
Well, yeah,
Egyptians did
that's what
it.
Halloween is for.
Yes.
Halloween, Samhain, is for connecting with your dead ancestors and hanging out with them. And then in
Hispanic and Dia de Muertos.
Dia de los Muertos, and they also have altars to their dead relatives in their home, and they give them food.
Yeah.
Carlos and I talked about this at length.
In Vietnam, they do that.
Mm-hmm.
My sister-in-law is from Vietnam, and we do talk about they do a lot of, some Asian cultures do have offer.
Well, they do the
offerings.
turning of the bones too. But
yeah,
that's for another day.
Mm-hmm. The offerings that they have, right?
Yeah.
And so, but again, is that the offering and seances, are they part and parcel? I would like to know more. If you guys know, if you guys are into this,
we could talk about offerings at
another time.
Yeah,
and we can talk about the different types of offerings that.
Yeah, because I do my own thing for Samhain, which I can talk about later. There's stage mediumship, which you'll see. Remember Edward something, that guy that would stand up and he'd be like, and I'm getting someone with a name L.
Yes, I know you're talking about.
Right.
Yes.
So that's their stage, and they used to do this back in the 1880s kind of thing. It was really big to have a stage, and you were doing these famous table wrappings and things like that. Yeah. And so many fake people got called out. So there was one, I wrote his name down. He was doing a live one. His name, it was the Davenport brothers.
I think I know
so
the story.
So it was Ira Erastus and William Henry Davenport. They were magicians, and they were doing this show in Buffalo, New York, which is where they were from. And a cabinet maker named George Alfred Cook showed everyone how he could do the same thing they could do by creating the cabinet. So they were called out as fake. They were around at the same time as the Fox sisters, though the Fox sisters started first.
And then Houdini came around, and he was a big debunker.
He didn't, okay, no, I'm wrong. He didn't hate seances, he hated fakes.
He hated fakes. That's right.
So there was a famous stage medium named Paschal Beverly Randolph. So he was 1825 to 1875. He was a medical doctor. So he was like an actual doctor. He was also an occultist, a spiritualist, and a trance medium. And allegedly he died by his own hand, but the circumstances of that are kind of fishy. But he claimed that he could contact Plato. He could contact Plato, and deliver messages
on the planet.
And then there's James's type of seance is the leader assisted seance.
Yes.
So smaller groups, one leader. They can use psychography, which is automatic writing, rapping, levitation of tables, spiritual trumpets, which I think is also the bells.
Yes, and it's very similar. The trumpets are different, and I'm going to get into that.
Okay, transference or apports. Or smell, and then there's social seances, candles, Ouija boards, mirrors, that kind of thing.
Exactly, and
so those are some of the kinds. I don't think I exhausted it.
It's funny you say because I myself have always been fascinated by seances. I think since I was a little girl, I think for me it was more of the aesthetics of like sitting down and having communing, the dead, and watching like old shows where they have these women dressed in black, and like they're sitting in this room and their fingers are touching and they're trying to communicate. I think the whole aesthetics of it has always intrigued, and I've always been a love. I think for me it's the aesthetics of this seance that I always love. Do I believe in them? I don't know. I've had some crazy experiences.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
And then that's going to get to our point. But, I've always been fascinated. I don't know, for as long as I can remember, I've just been fascinated with seances.
That was my
your foot.
That was my ankle cracking.
That sounds like the Fox sisters. Charlatan!
That's like really funny timing. That was my ankle snapping. That's like, if that caught
that's
up
what
on
the Fox
the
sisters and admitting. I think it was either Kate or Margaret. I think it was Kate who ended up admitting at the end that it was just them
cracking their feet
and able to manipulate.
That's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a famous. So back to the William Lyon Mackenzie King. Sorry, we went down a rabbit hole, which we do, and that's kind of how our conversations always happen. Keep up if you can, is what we say. But so he famously was trying to connect with his mother, and he's buried in Mount Pleasant Cemetery, which is not too far from here. Mm-hmm. And I've been there, but I just felt like I'm still mad at him for the whole residential school thing. So I don't want to talk to him. But I wonder if he's, like, amenable to wanting to talk to people. Like, does he want to come through?
That'd be interesting because he himself was into seances. So it'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, I wonder. So who else do you have?
Okay, so it's funny you say another Canadian. So there's actually two famous, well-known, and one specifically case. Have you ever heard of the Philip experiment?
No.
So this is interesting. So
I said that's so drastic.
No. So this took place in 1972. So it was a group of people. It's an experiment conducted in Toronto, and it was determined either whether subjects can communicate with fictionalized ghosts through, expectations of the human will. And there are a few videos that in a documentary actually cover this group. I forget the name of the documentary. You can actually watch it, but they got together for a year, and it was almost like a tulpa. And a tulpa, if you guys know what a tulpa is, basically it's creating an entity, right? Like, it's almost like a manifestation. That's what they believe poltergeists are, right? Because exactly. So the tulpa is to believe a manifestation of a human that brought this, the emotion.
Which I believe that.
Yeah. So this group, in 1972, and these are like group of professionals, got together, decided to do the seance. I forget how many times they sat down together, but sit down together in the dark, and they created this entity. They gave it a name when it died. He was a nobleman. Yeah, I think he was like a knight in the 1600s that they gave him a name. He had a name. I think his name was Henry.
Good name.
He was married. Exactly. Like my cat. He was married, and his wife was killed due to, they thought she was a witch, and she ended up being, I think, burnt to death or something like that.
If it was in Europe, they did that a lot.
Yeah, but these
They
guys...
say 30,000 people died in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
At least.
But in this fictionalized, experiment, they actually created...
A whole ass person.
A whole ass person. This whole ass, background. And he was a fictionalized character. But they actually have documentation...
To support it?
That things start to manifest. And it just talks about, like, how things will manifest.
So, question. Is it believed that they manifested it, or is it believed that it already existed and coerced them into manifestation?
This is the thing. So, they, quote unquote, said that they created this character. They sat together. It's like creating a fictional character. And that's exactly right. They created this fictional character. And they will focus on this fictional character every time they sat down together. And they sat in this dark room for about a year or two, documenting this. And they have video of it. They have recorded audio recordings. You can actually go on YouTube. If you guys just type in the Philip experiment, you can see videos of this.
I wonder if this is what happened seriously. And I'm very skeptical. But the Amityville Horror House, is that what friggin' happened? Did he actually manifest evil spirits?
The son?
Yeah. I still don't get how none of them heard the dying.
Yeah, them getting shot, and so I get,
he must have manifested something, but then the new homeowners say nothing's wrong.
Yeah, well, then you have the Lutzes who moved in after, they only lasted, a month before they fled.
Yeah.
Who knows? So anyhow, so that is one of them. So if you guys want to know more about this, it's a fascinating thing. Like, I saw this documentary years ago, and when we decided to talk about this, it just I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot the Philip experiment. So check it out. So another great, have you ever heard of T.G. Hamilton? I've never heard of him until I started doing this research. So Thomas, is it Gelinden Hamilton was born in 1873 in Agincourt, Scarborough. Represent.
Shout out.
So, which is now this funny because this article was talking about it's now part of Toronto. It's actually it's a whatever. I'm not going to get into the technicals of it. He was a son of James Hamilton and Isabella Glenigan. I know I totally butchered that name. So that's why he's called TG Hamilton. We're going to refer to him as TGH, okay?
Or Hamilton.
Or Hamilton. There we go.
I think you're sinking.
Oh, am I? Oh my gosh.
I just wanted to tell you.
I'm really comfortable here.
Yeah.
So
off camera. I'm going to fix it.
So, TG was 10. So he was I think there were 6 of the children. Or he was 10 years old. 10 years old when this family of 6 moved from Scarborough to Saskatchewan. And to this home near Saskatoon. So, not long after, unfortunately, his family suffered tragedies. So his father died in 1885. A year later, his sister Margaret died of typhoid fever.
Ooh.
The family left Saskatchewan and moved to Manitoba. And it was in Manitoba where he became a doctor. Now, it's interesting. A family friend that they became friends with, this group of family that they met in Saskatoon, would soon come back into his life, and I'll explain how. So just keep that in mind. So I found out about our homeboy T.G. Hamilton via the interwebs, as the kids say nowadays.
The tubes.
Yeah. So T.G. had referred to this on this article I read, but also on the streets. I know it's a bad joke. It's a bad T.G. It's a bad joke. I'm such a mom joke. I'm such a bad joke.
Fine.
Not only is a T.G.H. a doctor, but a school board trustee, a member of the Manitoba legislature from 1915 to 1920, which is, this guy did quite a bit, right? So you think about he was a doctor, school board trustee, pretty smart guy, you think level-headed, right? But he got into the spiritualism, back in the early 1900s. And not only did he get into spiritualism, he found this book and he read into it and he just became fascinated, totally engrossed in it, that he himself started started doing the seances in the early 1900s and started photographing them. So have you guys seen those photographs of people during seances with this white stuff coming out of people's faces and noses? Yeah. He actually is known. So I actually have, if you guys go follow him, go TGH Hamilton. If you go spiritualism or seances, you can actually see these photographs he took.
I'm gonna research and I'll put one up between us.
And we will do, and then
out here.
and then, but not only that, there was actually video, like there's pictures not only of the ectoplasm, but also the table wrapping and table tipping, which he was really known for. And he, like the Philip experiment, he documented these. Like he's done, I think they said close to 1,000 different seances he did, and he was like doing like, he photographed, like I think they said up to 1,000 different photos.
Do you think you've done 1,000?
Me? It feels like it. Every day. Isn't teaching a seance every day? It's just,
I've done at least 100.
I've done 4.
Oh, but like seances as in like, you know, because I go TikTok live and I do seances.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about like a group of people.
By the way, you better follow Grace so that she can go TikTok live with me so we can do seances
Seriously,
together.
like I'm at like 909. It's so funny. It is so funny, and like I don't know what, but it's
fine. It's fine. We'll get there.
But just so weird talking about like I'm gonna rant. But yeah, I go on TikTok and like the people who post the most random things,
they blow up.
They blow up. Like
it's cool.
There's this one lady. She's really sweet, but she does this thing. She's like, "There's nothing like a glass of water."
Yeah, and people eat it up.
And people, I'm just like,
yeah,
is that what people like?
They don't have haunted dolls.
They don't have haunted dolls and have education. Anyhow, or experiences.
Yeah.
So
okay, so this guy was taking photos
but not only, like I said, he got attracted to this, and like he got really engrossed into this whole seance, like this whole movement, which we know has been around since like 1800s or so.
Well, and like spiritualism, yeah. But seances were happening before that. Like people were using divination to contact the dead. Like there was always the village elder from like so many societies.
Scrying as well.
Yeah.
There's so many different methods. Exactly. Do we
have a favorite method?
Do I have a favorite method?
I think I like the spirit box the best.
It's pretty spontaneous. Actually, I like EVPs.
Because
EVPs
yeah,
are
hands down.
So
hands down, the creepiest things I've ever heard is EVPs. And do you remember the time I got... Okay, so for those who don't already know, this is also... I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel as a short. One time I got locked in Mount Pleasant Cemetery and I thought nothing of it. I was laughing at myself. There were EVPs on it. There were EVPs on that, and maybe I'll try to edit.
Yeah.
But like, there were EVPs on me laughing at myself getting locked in a cemetery. It was creepy.
I've heard some crazy places. Like I've been to a really weird experience that happened with an EVP.
Something just tapped over there.
Again!
Yeah. Funny, I have a haunted doll over there.
Every time.
Every freaking time.
So when I was at, Rolling Hills Asylum, and we were doing the investigation, we were in the basement, and Roy, who suffered from hypothyroidism, I think he had the thyroidism when he was a tall guy.
Yeah.
And we were in...
Gigantism.
Was it? Due to thyroid issues, which I have. Which is not the same thing.
Wish I would have got
I wish I had hypothyroidism issues where my boobs got really big and my waist got small, but that's not going to happen. Anyhow, that's another issue.
Random.
That's my other... Welcome to the Random Thoughts of Grace. Anyhow, so in this guy we knew, Shane, he had an EVP recorder, and it was during the session, there was like 5 of us.
Sorry, I keep stifling a sneeze. I'm making faces at you. I just keep feeling like I'm going to sneeze.
Stop it, Francis. Stop going up our nose and playing it. So it was during the session, so we were asking, we were doing a Q&A, response, question and response, and see what we get. And in it, we actually recorded something that got frightened. So we're not too sure if we're frightened as spirits, because one of the girls that was recording, she bumped into something, and you hear, oops, kind of bump in, and you heard something square, like almost like yelp. But it wasn't none of us, because we had flashlights. So we saw each other. We all knew each other. Like,
so she bumped into something?
She bumped into like a table, whatever it was.
Oh, okay.
But the recording, you can hear her go, oops, like bumping into, and we heard a scream. Like, she startled something.
Oh, shoot.
So we heard a voice scream, and it was like actual time. And it was only, I think, 5 or 6 of us at the time, because it's like a small group that was doing this.
Yikes.
So, yeah, EVPs are great because
I
you
love
get
that.
quick responses. And like you hear, especially like on the rings, like you hear voices and everything too, right? So like, because it doesn't take too much energy for them to manifest, like it takes a lot for them to manifest physically.
Yeah.
But for voices,
because it has the electron. By the way, so there are a bunch of different tools, and this is leading me to our first conundrum of James's seance that he had. So let's get, unless you have.
I'm just gonna tell you, like I can continue after. Don't worry.
I was just reading your body language.
No.
So I wanted to talk about James's seance because there are different tools that people use. So they use mirrors, they use candles, they use my least favorite, Ouija boards. Hate them. I hate them. And
I don't.
At the James White seance, what had happened was, I'm going to talk about the room, then we can talk about what happened after the room. I'll let you talk about what happened in the room. So there was a room in this place, and let's maybe like leave it a bit vague so that we don't give anything away about the seance. So there was one specific room where I couldn't walk in. There was a mannequin of a woman's outfit. There was a mirror with a sheet over it. I couldn't walk into that room. What happens is Grace tries to get me to go in that room.
I'll go with you, Catherine.
She touches my arm. We go to walk in. I still can't. And?
It's not, okay, so I'm going to, okay, here we go.
Are you going to reenact it with the
analogy, okay? So
that little
Dracula is the mirror, okay? So people are going up, so it's heavy, like a heavy kind of like.
For our listeners, she's putting it over top of Dracula's head.
Yeah. So here is the mirror, and then you have the covering, the sheet.
Yeah.
And I said, let's go in, and then you said no, and I was watching.
I couldn't.
I was watching, and you hear, it was like a forceful, like something pulled it off.
And yet again, you went to flee from a room. You punched me in the teeth.
I did.
And threw me in a chair.
It scared the living daylights out of me because I was not anticipated because it was like
I didn't see it.
It was you, myself. No, you were sitting there, myself, and that lady, and her and I both saw. Yeah. Like, there's one thing when something falls off. This was pulled. Like, it was forcefully pulled off.
And then what had happened was James said, let's bring the sheet with us. And I was like, or we could not. And so we go downstairs, another level, underneath the room.
And I made myself into a ghost with the sheet.
You did do that. That was quite funny. So we sit around the table and they whip out a Ouija board. And I'm like, fuck no.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this.
Kat was like,
I don't touch them. So I'm standing there and you guys are doing the Ouija. I don't know if you physically
No, my friend Allie was.
So Ouija board's saying whatever. I can't figure out what you're saying all of a sudden. I don't understand anymore.
Because James basically, again, we don't want to divulge too much. The seances, like this Ouija board session's going on. Because things were going
upstairs. There's people like kind of wandering.
But James wanted to go see what was going on because we heard a lot of commotion going in the other rooms. So he's like, okay, let's go to the other rooms. Let's figure what's going on. And he told me, okay, stay here and just ask the questions because something's been attracted to me because I was picking up things like I did on. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to.
Yeah, you were doing automatic writing and you were really accurate.
And so he's like, okay, Grace, you stay, you watch, you can kind of like.
He left Grace in charge.
Yeah, and so all this stuff is going on, and they're asking questions, and at that point, it was the weirdest thing. So there was a gentleman there who has one of the props, or not props, like one of his James's things he has dolls. If you go to his website, so he's got different artifacts there, and one of the guys had this artifact. So I'm at the table, this Ouija board going on. Catherine was behind me.
Oh. The camera messed up again.
Oh boy. Okay.
It's fine. No.
Whew. Again, it's always like this.
It's every time you bring that fucking doll into my house.
Sorry, Frances. Sorry.
Okay. Anyways.
Anyhow, so you were behind me.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy who was standing in front of the mirror, and he had this artifact, and he's gonna bring it up
to put it in front of his face.
Because. Anyhow, I'm not going to get into it because this is crazy coincidence. Anyhow,
A table full of shit exploded in front of my
Literally,
face.
except in like got hit.
But wait, the part that I'm talking about, like shit's going on. The part that I'm talking about is I'm still.
Oh my god!
I don't even know if you know this. I don't even know if you know the full story because I was just so like messed up after.
Because it came transference. We were talking about
You're laying off camera again. You're like way over.
Oh my god! Sorry, because I could
it's fine. Just put that pillow on the other side of you. So what had happened was you were sitting at the table with the sheet. They were doing a Ouija board. I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, I start rocking back and forth, and I'm like, what the hell? I feel something rocking me back and forth. I'm like, great, this is not good. Then my field of vision goes blurry. And at the time, I was wearing contacts, so I thought maybe my contacts were going dry. Mm-hmm. But I'm blinking, nothing, and I'm rocking back and forth. All of a sudden, I'm trying to say to you guys, I don't feel right. I'm feeling sick. I'm feeling weird. I'm feeling like headache, nauseous, heavy, whatever. And I wanted to leave, and I couldn't. And I'm trying to say,
you were stuck.
Grace, help. And I'm talking to everyone, and no one's paying attention to me. Then the room goes quiet, and I hear, you're a loser. No one wants to hear from you. Shut up. You talk too much. Like, these horrible things that normally, like, I would probably say to myself if I was having a bad day. But it was like, no one finds you interesting. No one wants to listen to you. No one cares. Like, it just was starting to go. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like, is this? So I'm there and I'm starting to freak out and I'm trying to reach out. I look in the corner of the room with my eyes because I can't really move. And there was a little fucking girl standing in the corner. It was a ghost.
Right.
Oh, I got chills remembering her. She's standing in the corner, and then I look over, and there's a guy standing on the other side of the seance group, and he's looking in the fucking corner, too. And I talked to him after, and he didn't see anything, but he was like, I was obsessed. Something was in that corner. Once I locked eyes with her, it let me go.
Well, remember I said I kept the look in that one? Remember as we were walking down, so like something always was trying to get my attention to look over this one, and I don't like that, because I'm always terrified, because something's always like, look over here.
But then, as soon as I broke free, I looked at you, and your eyes were glossed over, and you're like, huh?
And then I was in the kind of like, I felt like, it was like this weird out-of-body experience where I just kind of like, it was like in this dream state. Like, it was like I was like
your eyes
water.
Looked cloudy.
Yeah, I was like in this water where I'm like, the same thing. I was like in this kind of like, I wasn't scared. I was just like in this trance, kind of like.
Oh, I was scared.
Yeah. But for me, like, I was just like in this state where I'm like, I wasn't cognizant where I was going on.
Yeah, you were like, hi.
Yeah, yeah.
But the weirdest part for me, this has never happened to me, okay? Like, this type of thing, I've never had happen to me. I pride myself on, like, very little possession. I think it was trying to break me down to possess me.
Yeah. Well.
Why are you smirking?
Because something crazy happened to me years ago with my girlfriend, but I'll explain to you after. And that was during a seance.
You got possessed?
Not that we got possessed.
I know a lot of people that have gotten possessed.
But no, not possessed. Here. We had an attachment on us of a child.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Was it a little girl?
Nope. It was a little boy. And it was at the Customs House in Hamilton. This is years ago. When we did a paranormal investigation, like they were doing investigating at night, it was cool, and then at the end they decided, like, let's do a seance. We sat around the table, first time doing a seance, you know, touching the fingers, because which you know we're supposed to break the chain. Which, by the way, my friend Allie swears that somebody
it felt like it
broke because something followed her home.
Should we talk about like the last thing that happened during that seance? Like, is it giving it away if we talk about the last thing?
I would say let the people go to it so you can spare.
So something happened that kind of shocked all of us at the end, and I've never had it happen, and I doubt I'll ever see that happen again.
No. And because every experience is different.
Every experience is
different. I'm going again on Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm so excited because the veil is always the thinnest.
Yeah.
And
it's getting thinner, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I woke up at 5:30 in the morning with a bunch of friends in the living room here, so.
Oh, I've had some weird things happening lately with me, too. Like, this stuff happens more to Catherine than it does to me. I'm just for the ride. I'm here.
I get like sneaky peekies. Like, I'll be in the kitchen and I'll see something walk by and I'll think that it's Carlos or the dog, and it's not. Like the dog will be on the other side of me, or Carlos will be sitting here in the living room the whole time. And I'll be like, "Did you walk?" And he's like, "No." So like, cool. But I don't think I'm gonna go to that seance anytime soon.
I love going to them.
I will be at Frightmare.
I'm coming after.
I'll put the podcast out before Frightmare. So if you're in Niagara Falls, come see us at Frightmare.
Yes, I'll be there too, supporting Kevin. I'll be your cheerleader. Yay!
I actually have to show you the merch. So if you go to spookyfriendsclub.com, there's a lot of links there to other things. But right now, the merch is only on the Etsy.
On the Etsy.
Yeah, so I'm not wearing the merch, but we have the Haunt Your Haters hoodie. Yeah, Haunt Your Haters hoodie. We've got Daddy Loves You, which is a picture of Satan. Satan, you know. There's a couple of fun merch ideas, and I'm always open to more. Mm-hmm. If someone gives me a really good merch idea, I'll give them a piece of merch for free. So if you have anything, but So Spooky seems to be a good one.
Yeah,
people like that.
So spooky. But yeah, I would say definitely go to James's experience. I've been going for the last few years.
Yeah.
Each year, such a different experience.
Does he only do them in Toronto and Ottawa?
He does only in Toronto. He lives in Ottawa. Toronto's like his big thing, yeah. Like, and honestly, like, so he had the Marilyn Dennis show on. Yeah. Scared the living.
During the daytime.
No, I think they did a nighttime one.
Oh God.
They scared the living daylights, and it's what I love about James is that he does his research and he really goes to really well-known active places. Yeah. And they've got a history. Like these places he goes to have a history. But no, because that's the thing. And that's the thing I like about James. Like he's a smart guy. He's got a scientific background, and so he does the elements. But that's what I love about his shows because he does this whole old seance that like Sybil Leek and another great like these trans mediums that would do this stuff. Like Sybil Leek is one of them. Like I said, T.G. Hamilton was another one too, and he wasn't a medium himself. He just conducted these seances, and he had like mediums coming in, right? And because there's a great paranormal investigator, parapsychologist. His doctor was named Dr. Hans Holzer. And, I know that name. Yeah, and my friend Dave, hey Dave, from the Holzer File and Paranormal 60, he did a show, and they talked about because he had again scientific background, and you and I talked about it's like I'm a healthy skeptic, where I have to go to these places in order to believe it.
You like to see
experience it,
and I like to get the facts after I've experienced it too, and I think you do too. Like I like to look up facts. I looked up the place that we did the seance at, and I picked up on some things that we didn't talk about there, and I'm not going to talk about it now. Maybe in the future when the seance is like
over and done,
long and done. But I will be doing a seance on Halloween, and I do every year, and it's mostly to speak to my ancestors. However, this year, it might go badly because I've recently lost my grandmother, R.I.P. Mary, and I don't want her to come through on TikTok camera because I'm just like not ready to talk to her with other people. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe Graham will like hang out. But every year I do welcome my ancestors here. We have food out for them and alcohol and hang out with them for a bit.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
I do that every year, and I do it on TikTok so that I can share it with people who maybe are stuck at home with kids or just can't get out. So I'll be doing that on Halloween after Frightmare, which should be super fun.
I'll be surviving Halloween with a bunch of 6-year-olds. So that is hell on earth itself.
Well, Halloween at work, I'm the only person who knows Halloween. And so the HR department and the social committee have been haunting me, in order to help them to set up a Halloween party. So
you're like the advisor.
I'm the Halloween consultant.
Okay, it's funny.
I'm putting that on my resume.
I love it. So last week, as everybody knows, I love all things Halloween as well, and I wear spooky stuff all year round. So I was wearing one of my many Halloween attire. It's my candy corn sweater, which I love. It's the cutest thing in the world. And somebody goes, "Oh, dress for Halloween," and my friend, somebody who's new to the school. Yeah. They're like, "Oh, getting ready for Halloween." My friend goes like, "No, this is her all year round." I said, "This is true." Like, cause everybody knows me. Like anything that's spooky, ooky, they know. Like that's me.
I mean, most of the stuff on the wall, like all the stuff is year round, but like some of it's haunted, like that painting right there. But yeah, no, it's interesting, and like I think going to seances, I think seances are really interesting. I think you get out of it what you put into it, and not every seance is built the same. Some are built different.
And I think, and it all depends, like I said, with James's seances, literally every year is different. each group is different. What you put into it, and you have to go in an open mind. Just like when you go into a paranormal investigation, if you go like, I don't want to see, I don't want to think, I don't want to see anything, guess what? You're not going to see anything. But if you go into a seance with like, okay, an open mind, you can have the healthy skepticism.
How much water you been drinking, girl?
Oh my gosh, too much water. You can have the healthy skepticism, which is good to have, but go in with like an open mind.
Yeah, and like, don't over panic because that's gonna freak out other people. But I think, you know, just keep your eyes out. I tend to be more quiet. You've seen this. Yes. I get really quiet at seances.
And be respectful.
Yeah, don't Zach Baggins it. Don't rip your shirt off and try to fight the ghost, which is still the funniest thing I've ever seen. I hope to get a clip of it.
Which one? Oh my god, there's so many episodes. I think when he went to that one place with the nuns and he took off his shirt because they don't like tattoos with her.
Oh, is that why he took off? I thought he was just trying to fight the ghost.
I don't know. And I laugh because it's like, as you guys know, I said in the past, I call him Zach Bobo Bagans.
Yeah.
And I've heard this other podcast I listened to, That's Why We Drink. They refer to him as Zach Bagel Bites, which is absolutely amazing. But honestly, like, go in with an open mind. Go in with good intention.
We've had camera issues this entire time with Francis. This entire time we've had camera issues. It's been turning itself on and off the entire friggin' time. Sorry. You're so happy about this, but, frustrating.
Okay, so...
Francis, can you please stop?
Can you please stop, Francis? And that being said, okay, so before we wrap up, I just want to tell you something that's actually pretty cool, like I said, with this whole, before we end up with the seance.
Maybe he needs clothes, Grace.
Maybe. He needs arms and legs, too, so...
Well...
I don't know. So... Before we end, I just want to let you know, so like I said, so the famous Canadian ones, we have William Lyon Mackenzie King. We have this T.G. Hamilton that a lot of people don't know about, which is actually pretty cool that, you know, he's a well-known doctor that performed thousands of, like hundreds and hundreds of seances. But did you know another famous Canadian, this person himself did not perform the seances, but it was his great-grandfather that... performed seances that led him to be who he is today.
Who?
Is Dan Aykroyd.
Oh.
His great-grandfather, who is from, like, just outside...
Dan Aykroyd believes in ghosts, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And this is because of his great-grandfather. Shoot. This comes from his great-grandfather. There's actually documents. It's a great book. It's called The History of Hauntings, I think, if I'm mistaken. And it's a great book, and it talks about because when the grandfather passed away, he was really big into spiritualism, performed seances quite a bit, had documents of it. They lived in Toronto, Garfield, the street in Garfield. That's where they actually performed a lot of the seances here in Toronto. I know. And it was because his family, his great-grandfather, believed in the spiritualism, documented, and they have like tons and tons of diaries of these seances that actually inspired Dan Aykroyd to write Ghostbusters.
I didn't know he wrote Ghostbusters. What an idiot.
He wrote Ghostbusters. It's inspired because of his family belief in the spiritualism and the whole seances.
That's spooky.
I know it's so spooky, but I just think it's amazing. Like I said, I can go on and on because I'm such a nerd about.
We'll probably retouch on seances in the future.
It is amazing, but like you said, like the different types of seances too. Like I said, table wrapping.
Yeah,
is another form too.
Yeah,
which James has done before.
Oof. I mean, I feel like every seance has.
Oh, and then you said, so you said about so the different things too. We also said before we wrap this up, we said the bells, the spiritual bells, and also the trumpets, because the trumpets were believed to be used as a form of communication, and that's what back in the Victorian time. They're called like a trumpet, like a seance trumpet, where they could actually be heard. You can actually hear the voices of the ghosts through the trumpets.
Oh, like an EVP.
Mm-hmm.
That's so spooky.
So yeah, that's what seances.
Wow,
but before we go, should we ask Francis a question? Should we just start us off? Okay. You guys can start with a question. So, send a question.
Yeah. Send us a question that you'd like us to ask Francis. And we'll do like a quick session and we'll post it separately. But let us know what you'd like us to ask Francis and we will move on from there. It's so spooky.
So spooky.
See you in the next one.
Bye, spooky friends.